Students, till last lecture, we have just learned what is the respiration and what are the type of respiration. Now, see, in the types of respiration, we had discussed respiration is of two type. First type we have seen is the direct respiration, which is present into the simple organism whose body structures are not very complex, and in which a simple diffusion of the gases happen. And whatever respiratory, now see, respiratory gas is common for all the animal, that is the oxygen. So simply they are taking the oxygen, and now we all have seen the purpose of the oxygen taking in. The most important purpose is oxidation of the food. So simple single cellular organism also, they also require to do the oxidation of food. Oxidation of food means breakdown of the food, breaking down the carbohydrate complex and converting it into the body suitable carb form, and then thereafter whatever metabolic waste is generated, usually it is the carbon dioxide, it is thrown out of the body. So this simple organism, those who bear the direct respiration mechanism, they simply take all this thing in and out. All this gaseous exchange occurs from their body surface. But in the case of the indirect respiration, we all have seen that usually this organism, they possesses the blood, and their blood may have the respiratory pigment. Like we human, we have complete dedicated cells, those who are doing the job of the respiration, those cells are called as RBC. But in the case of this lower animals, now see, their body is so small, and they may possess the respiratory surface, but they do not have such a space that they will carry 7 nanometer, sorry, I'm sorry, 7 micrometer, 7 micrometer hemoglobin RBC molecule, and they will carry here and there, right? So for that particular reason, their blood, or you can say simply blood. Now when we will learn circulatory fluid in detail, that time you will understand that the blood is not present in all the organisms. Some have only, all the organism, they bear the different type of the circulatory fluid. So here, instead of using the term, as we are doing the comparative study, I will use the term circulating fluid. So what happens in most of the animal, this respiratory pigments, they are mixed into the circulating fluid. Say example, hemolymph, and in the hemolymph they may have the respiratory pigments which is dissolved inside it. So now, on the basis of organism, as we are going to do the comparative study of the respiratory organ, so on the basis of the organism, best suited respiratory surface is given. Now we all have learned the most important characteristics of the sorry, respiratory surface, that it must be thin, it must be permeable, moist, vascular, give the large surface area, and it should be in the contact with the source of the air, right? This we have learned. So now we will learn, in the comparative study, we will start from the lower organism whose body systems are very simple one, and thereafter we'll move ahead, and in that we will learn more and more complex organisms. So we will begin with the simpler one, which they have the simple respiratory surfaces. Now thereafter we will go ahead and we will learn. Now need to remember the higher order. See, last lecture also I told you we need to remember the class of vertebrates, that is param. So highest are the mammal, and in the mammal also the most complex organism is the human. So we will end our comparative study of respiratory organ or any physiology, we will end with the human only. So let us begin with the invertebrates. So first we'll talk about the respiration in earthworm. When student I ask about the earthworm, you remember the rainy season, then your mud-like surface and the earthworm, right? Now, when we see the earthworm, so we all know very well that earthworm they belongs to the phylum Annelida, and their body is highly segmented, and it is also, you can say, tube within tube like structure, and the body is also segmented from the inside. So if you will observe the respiratory organ, now if you will see the body segmentation is done from the inside, so how and where the respiration is done? So interestingly, the entire body of the earthworm can perform the respiration. Why? Can anyone guess why and how entire body? Any guess? Okay, I will only say. Interestingly, earthworm's respiratory surface is skin. Okay, now we all know that skin is the outermost covering of any organism, and this skin, if it is acting as the respiratory surface, it must have the respiratory surface property. So the skin of earthworm is highly vascularized, it kept moist. Now how do it keep itself moist? Because it is moving or inhibit into the soil, so what makes it moist? So children, earthworm skin have the special integument gland and coelomic fluid, and this helps to maintain the moisture on the skin. Now, third thing, the good quality of the respiratory surface is it must be able to exchange the gas, it must be thin and permeable for the special respiratory gases. So, exchange of the gas, it will take place through the moist skin, which is permeable to respiratory gases. Now, when we talk about the respiratory fluid, so that is the blood. So when we talk about the blood, so blood do not have the complex RBCs, they contain the respiratory pigment hemoglobin. Now here the point you will note down, respiratory pigment is hemoglobin. Now see student, we all are doing the comparative study, so always this is preferable for studying the comparative study. Make a table like structure. This is my personal way of learning, you may also get benefit of this thing. What I do, I always make the table for studying anything comparatively. Now what you will write in that table, you will write the name of organism, earthworm, then respiratory surface is the skin, and respiratory pigment is the hemoglobin. Now this hemoglobin is dissolved into the plasma. How this oxygen is happening, sorry, how this respiration is happening? Now see children, they as I told you that they do not have specialized or different type of respiratory surfaces or respiratory organs, so they do the respiration at the by exchanging of gases. Now how it is happening, whatever atmospheric oxygen is taken up by the skin, it is immediately transferred to the respiratory pigment hemoglobin. Now we know the property of the hemoglobin, that it converts into the oxyhemoglobin. Now see, whichever hemoglobin is present closer, as you all can see here, the this is vascular and the hemoglobin which is present or attached to the skin surface, that will be oxyhemoglobin. Now this hemoglobin is having the property to hold the oxygen with it. Now this will run to the body as it has entered into the your circulatory system, it will enter. So now what will happen, the places where the oxygen tension is low, that particular time, that hemoglobin, or say the oxyhemoglobin, it is going to break down into the oxygen plus hemoglobin, and that oxygen will be retained by the cells, those who were deprived of the oxygen, and they will take and they will start the cellular respiration. Now children, we have learned in detail about this type of respiration. So external respiration is what? On the skin surface, direct exchange of the oxygen and carbon dioxide. Internal respiration, the oxygen is taken inside the blood vessel, and this is circulating to the entire length of the body, and this is going to the place where the oxygen tension is low and direct exchange of the oxygen is happening. So at that time, the cell of the body will take the oxygen and they will do their food oxidation. So this is the idea, or this is the way the respiration occurs into the earthworm. So now see, after the oxidation of food, what will generate? Carbon dioxide. So same way, carbon dioxide, that will also release from the cell after oxidation. It is going to be excreted. Now this excreted carbon dioxide will be readily mixed inside the blood capillaries, because the blood capillaries are very thin and they are permeable for the respiratory gases, and thereafter it is going to be thrown out by the simple diffusion. So we have learned in the case of the earthworm, entire body surface performs the respiration, because respiratory surface is skin, and as the respiration is happening with the skin, this type of respiration is known as the cutaneous respiration. Cutaneous respiration. Okay, we need to remember this, can ask into the MCQ. Then respiratory pigment of earthworm is hemoglobin. It is dissolved into the plasma, and atmospheric oxygen is taken up by this hemoglobin, converts the hemoglobin into the oxyhemoglobin, and it is circulated to the tissue where the oxygen tension is low. Now this oxyhemoglobin breaks up to release oxygen and hemoglobin into the reduced state. After that, the oxygen is utilized for the oxidation of food in the cellular respiration, and thereafter, the carbon dioxide release mixes into the blood and it is diffused out of the body through the moist skin. So, this is all about the respiration in earthworm. This was a very simple organism, so the process of respiration was also very simple. Now let us discuss the second invertebrate, that is the spider. Now when we talk about the spider, so we all know it belongs to the arthropoda, right? Now, when we talk about the respiratory organ of the spider, so they bear the two type, trachea and the book lung. Now, see, children, in this series of the comparative study of the respiratory organ, we all are going to focus the special respiratory organ, the normal which bear all the organism bears will not be discussed here, because there are various organism, means there are many, and in that we all are going to focus to the special mechanism. Now in invertebrate, I had discussed about the respiratory system of the sapia, but it is not the part of your this syllabus, but I have added this also into this playlist. Now When we talk about the spider, so they have the two type of respiratory organs. One is the trachea, another is the book lung. When we talk about the book lung, so you will observe along with the book lung, some of the spider they also possesses the tubular trachea. Now few they have both the things, trachea as well as the book lungs. Now when we talk about the position of the book lung, so you will observe now why it is called as book lung. I will tell you. Position, if you will see, it is ventrolateral. Now see ventro. This is the dorsal surface. Above surface is the dorsal surface. This is the ventral surface. So it is present at the side corner. That's why you need to remember this diagram. Intentionally, I have added this diagram to remember the position of the book lung. So we need to remember these book lungs are situated ventrolaterally. Now, how and where it opens? It opens by the opening that is called, or you can say minute holes that is called as the spiracles. And now this particular opening is present and the ventral side. Okay, we need to remember they situated ventrolaterally and it opens on the ventral side. Now, when we talk about the book lungs, so they have the compressed sac-like cavity. You can see here, and this cavity is called as the pulmonary sac. Now, when we talk about the pulmonary sac, so they that pulmonary sac is lined by a cuticle, and this divide into the two part. One is the pulmonary chamber, and another is the atrial chamber. So here, this roughly this side is divided into two part, pulmonary chamber and the atrial chamber. So when we talk about the pulmonary chamber, so this is the distal part. Now distal means ऊपर का हिस्सा. This is the distal part of the book lung. This is called as the pulmonary chamber, and when you will observe it from the inside, you will look it or you will find it. It is oval like chamber. Now you will observe they have the leaf-like structure. So this is approximate 150 leaf-like lamellae. Lamellae is the respiratory surface of the book lung. You need to remember name of respiratory surface or the thing which do. Now see what is the unit of respiratory surface in human. It is the alveoli. So same way the unit of the book lung is lamellae. Okay, and these lamellae they just look like the leaf of a book. That's why it is called as the book lung. Now you will observe this lamellae plate, so you will observe it is filled with the hemolymph. Now see this lamellae, you can see that the blood is flowing in between. So this blood is what? The blood of the spider is the hemolymph, and they are arranged parallel. You can see it between these plates. The air space is there here. You can observe here is the air space, and this airspace will allow to do the exchange of the gases. Are you following the idea? Inside the lamellae, now see this lamellae might be connected with the circulatory system, and they, in between this space the air is filled. So now what is going to be happen? Now these lamellae are the respiratory unit, so definitely it will bear the all the characteristic of the respiratory surface. So what is going to happen here? Here the gaseous exchange is going to occur. Understood? And this gaseous exchange will allow allow to diffuse the respiratory gases. Now see here this white side you all will observe, children. Now here gas is there, respiratory gas is there. Okay. Now here your gases are there. So what is going to be happen? Simple diffusion will happen. So now next chamber is the atrial chamber. In between only, suppose if this is the distal part, so this is going to be your atrial chamber. Now you will observe it is dorso-ventrally compressed, air chamber and it forms the proximal part of the book lung here. Okay, now it opens to outside through one or several slits. Now these slits are called as the spiracle, or as I told you, the opening. Now this air flowing through the spiracle opening. See this small tiny opening you all can see. Here you can see the opening. Spencer is given here. It is. You can see spiracle. Here also spiracle. So these tiny openings are called as the spiracles. Now when we talk about the roof of atrial chamber, they also have the opening, and this is called as the ostia. Now here the this ostia, they will now see what is one of the most important property of the respiratory surface, that it must be in contact with the air. So this particular ostia and the spiracle, they are going to communicate with the interlamellar space of the pulmonary chamber in the air, or you can say the from the surrounding or medium from where the respiratory gas is going to be occur. Now what is the mechanism of respiration? How do they respire? This is all about the anatomy. In the anatomy we have learned that the respiratory surface or pulmonary chamber, you can say, is pulmonary sac. It is divided into the two part. One is the pulmonary chamber, another is the atrial chamber. Now pulmonary chamber we will have seal. Approximate 150 leaf like lamellae are there, and they resemble like the book pages. That's why it is called as the book lung. Now we have seen these plates, they are filled with the hemolymph, and they are arranged parallel to each other, and in between them some space is present, and this space is filled with the air, and this air allows the exchange of the gases. Now when we observe the atrial chamber, we have seen it is a very small dorso-ventrally compressed area, and it is bearing the opening that is called as the spiracle. And roof, if you will observe, they also have the minute opening, and these minute openings are called as ostia. Now this thing communicate with the lamellar space of the pulmonary chambers. This is the basic anatomy. It is very important to remember the anatomy, then only we can understand or learn the mechanism of the respiration, or you can say the physiology of the respiration. Now inspiration and expiration कैसे होगा? Now see, we all know. Now when we were talking about the respiration processes, that time I told you कि in the case of the external respiration we have the nose which is performing the inspiration and expiration, but not necessarily all the organism will have such type of special delicate organs. So here the nose like structure is your nothing but your spiracle. So where the inspiration and expiration and how it is happening. Now for us it is very simple. Inspiration by breathing in the air, and expiration is occurred by breathing out the air. So here in the case of the spider, the external respiration, that is inspiration and expiration of the air, is controlled by the action of the dorsoventral and the atrial muscle. Now see, these muscles, they do the special type of the movement which brings the contraction and the relaxation, and this is helping to take the air in and out, and also to spread the for air, or you can say also allow the diffusion of the gases to take place. Because if you will apply a force, now this force comes by the contraction, so this helps to do the diffusion very easily. So when these dorsoventral muscles they contract, now say dorsoventral. Okay, so that means dorsal side as well as the ventral side muscles. When this dorsoventral muscle contracts, that particular time, what is going to be happen now? This is our pulmonary chamber. So this pulmonary chamber is going to be compressed, right? If any contraction is there, So the contraction brings the compression. So if any compression will happen, what is going to be happen here? These lamella are situated inside, they will bear the pressure. So with that pressure, what is going to be happen? The air will enter into the lamellar space. Now here air was here, okay. Now this contraction happens, so this contraction will apply the forces, and this air will enter inside to the interlamellar spaces. Now after that, what is going to be happen? It is going to enter into the atrial chamber as well. Now this atrial muscle will also contract. Now contraction of this atrial muscle will force the air from the atrial chamber to go out. Now see, when the dorsoventral contraction happened, that particular time, what happened? This air was forced to enter into the interlamellar space, and when the contraction happens inside the atrial muscle, that time what happened? This force brings the air, thrown the air. देखो यहाँ पर contraction हो रहा है, okay, this particular site is contracting. So what is going to be happen? It is going to do ulta, and the air will forces outside. Now when this atrial muscle will relax, what will happen then? Again the book lung will regain its original shape, and a new fresh air. Now this contraction is removed, okay. Now this contraction, how this contraction happen? First this side will contract, then that will give the rhythm to the other side to contract. It will happen. So we have seen that the dorsoventral contraction happen, and because of this dorsoventral contraction, with the force, the air entered into the lamellar space. Then thereafter what happened? This atrium or the atrial chamber is it contracted. So after contraction, what happened? Whatever air was there, that was exhaled out, or you can say moved out from the ostia. Now at that particular time, whatever carbon dioxide was present in the body, that was expelled out. Now as this contraction overs, okay, so the muscle will relax. Now as soon as the muscle will relax, again the book lungs, they will regain their original shape. Again a new fresh air will enter into the atrial chamber, then again it will enter into the interlamellar space. Dorsoventral muscle will now relax. Now if dorsoventral muscle will relax, so what will happen? Pulmonary chamber will get its normal shape. So this way, the gaseous exchange take place through the thin membrane of this laminal wall, and blood become oxygenated, and the carbon dioxide thrown out of the body. So this was the basic idea. Once again, we will revise the mechanism. Inspiration and expiration of the air is controlled by the dorsoventral and the atrial muscle. These two muscles are the main player. It is very important to remember. When we talk about the dorsoventral muscle, now as I told you, two muscle will play the role. So first we'll see the role of the dorsoventral muscles. When it contracts, what is going to be happen? The pulmonary chamber is going to be compressed, and the air that will enter into the interlamellar space, that will force out into the atrial chamber. Now this atrial muscle will contract with the pressure of the air, right, and this will forces the air from the atrial chamber to go outside. Now when this atrial muscle will relax, now see, the compression, or you can say the contraction into the dorsoventral muscle broadens the contraction of the atrial muscle, right. Now when this atrial muscle will relax, ultimately after that it is going to bring the relaxation into the dorsoventral muscle also. So when this atrial muscle will relax, the book lung will get their original shape, and after that there will be a space for the fresh air. So fresh air will enter in, and first this will go into the atrial chamber, thereafter it is going to enter into the interlamellar spaces. Now when the new gas will come, so this new air, fresh air, will relax the dorsoventral muscles also, and this pulmonary chamber will get back its original shape. After that, what is going to be happen, gaseous exchange will take place in between these lamellar spaces, and the blood will become oxygenated, and whatever carbon dioxide was present will be expelled out. Any doubt, student?
No, ma'am.
See, this is about the invertebrate. Next lecture onwards, students, we all are going to discuss about the vertebrate. We'll start, as I told you, we will go from the class to class. So we will start from the Pisces. Now, in the case of the Pisces, we all are going, as I told you, that we will take in discussion to the complex thing, or which is not very common. So we'll start with the bony fish only. In the Pisces, we all are going to bring study of the bony fish. So next lecture we all will be talking bony fish with the three examples. So for this note, for today, we'll stop. If you have any doubt, you can ask me.